Hello, everybody. TehJew22 here, and this is a series that I used to do um, as far back as say early 2015, late 2014. But um, there have been a couple of things going on, not just in my life, but in the lives of some of my friends and other things. And also, hey, nice to see TJ and Zero. But anyway, I may as well get right to the point. So I've been noticing a couple of things going on Twitter, and no, it has nothing to do with the current situation, but rather but just the facts that just the things that have been going on, behind um, behind the scenes, really. Um, I may as well start off by saying, I try to be fair with people, and when it comes to disputes between two parties, it's very difficult to try to keep the peace. And as much as I like to, keep it peaceful, sometimes it's just not possible. And it will have to come. There will have to come a point where I'm going to have to make a decision as to what to do. But yeah, thank you for stopping by, Zero and TJ. It's nice to see you guys. But one thing I will say that, and I'm not going to make this a sad woe is me type of thing. It's just more things that have just been bothering me. And I like one of those things is, um, well, it doesn't bother me personally, but rather it just bothers me from the standpoint of, you know you're my friend, and I just want you to be happy. That sort of thing. Let me see. Is anyone else? Okay, no one else is coming. But oh, okay, cool, cool. I thought for a moment I lost connection there. But anyway, as I was about to say, um, I had a friend who just thought, that they had this feeling of I feel worthless. Well, you're not worthless. So it's really just a matter of being there for your friends, and just simply letting them know that you care about them. Um and it really is very hard, and it just goes back to, and whether it's dealing with um the shutdown, or whether it's dealing with even just personal things going on within life, I just try my best to be there for them. And that's really more or less the message of this whole thing, is to be there for your friends as much as you can. I am not saying that you should do this and be a babysitter to them, because you can't be there physically, but it's one of those things where you got to be there for them as much as you can. And that's really the most I can say out of this, really. So I'm also going to open up the floor to Q&As in just a bit. But yeah, there were a couple of things going on behind the scenes where I just, anyway. Mm, well, I'll have to get back to that in a bit, insane one. But I'm missing episodes. Well, you're not really missing anything, given that this is the first new episode in 5 years. And also, hello, David Wilson. Uh, nice to meet you. It's great to have you on the show. But yeah, I mean, and besides, it was before your time anyway. But that's beside the point. Anyway, the point I was trying to get at was, a lot of things happen that just make decisions much tougher than they need to be. And I, for one, have to make those decisions. And you know and I and while I get that decisions are not as easy as one would think. Just know that just know that I do support whatever decisions you've made as a friend. Uh, I mean, I could go into greater detail, but I don't want to like make it very personal. Other than just simply to say that there's a point where you just have to take responsibility for your own actions and just go for it. That's all I will say. And also, hello, Wildcat Ann. I believe. Oh yeah, that's right. Also known as and you taker and things like that. Browns fan 32. Nice to see you, and also nice to see you, Brandon. And I may as well, now that you're here, Brandon, I may as well mention. So yeah, I saw what happened, and I was not too happy about it when it came to you're not a you taker anymore. I was it. I think you mentioned on Twitter. I think you mentioned on Twitter that you were going to go out of character for a time, so I'm fine with that. And I mean, whether you're Wildcat Ann or Ann you taker, it's fine. I'm not a problem with me on that one. But as far as but what is Tales of TehJew22? Only thing is, I don't have Skype anymore. I used to have it, but then I got a new computer and I've never used Skype since. And plus, I find it much more cumbersome to use. I mean, the only reason I used it was because that's all I had back then. But it's fine. But as far as what is Tales of TehJew22, it's basically where I just share my thoughts and feelings, and things that are going on in my life, as far as things that you know intrigue me to the point where I would like to talk about it. So that's pretty much where what the name and what the show's all about. But I don't want to talk about myself. But I do want to mention to Brandon that Brandon, you're a great friend of mine, and I don't want to underscore the. I don't want to, and I want you to know that you are valued as a friend. They added a create a finisher thing. Hmm. Again, I'll have to check that out, but I complete now, Brandon. I will say this. Yeah, I will. I'll DM you on Twitter, and we can talk on there. My of course my Twitter of course is the exact same as on this channel, so we'll get to it. But Brandon, what I'm trying to get at, and I think, and well, now that you're here, I may as well tell you personally that there's a difference between being emotional, but then going about it the wrong way, and here's why. My mom would always tell me, and I know it's always cliche that that you learn things from your mother, but it's true. You learn from your parents, you learn from your dad too. But but just because but just because you're in a bad mood does not mean you can ruin it for everyone else. And while and the same goes true when you're angry or when you're frustrated or whatnot. Because when you're angry and you're frustrated, the last thing you want to do is ruin it for other people. Because it's not fair to them. Because it certainly wouldn't be fair to you if someone did it to you. And more so than that, you know, I can get emotional too, but is that fair to you guys? No. Because if I take it out on you guys, then it just makes me look bad. And that's something you got to remember. And something I have to remember too as I get older is not to let your emotions get the better of you. Because the day that that happens is the day that I pretty much should just stop doing YouTube stuff because I've done this before in my life and I regretted it. I really did, because I I would often act on emotion and not on logic. So, Browns fan, I may as well give you some context. Um, Now, of course, I've done this before in my life, and Brandon has done it just recently. It's where you let your emotions get the better of you, and before you know it, you start pissing off a lot of people in the process, all because you throw a hissy fit over something you can't control. That's what the context is all about. And again, I did not want to make this personal, but that's pretty much where I'm getting it at. You know, because like I said, I've been through this, and I don't want anyone to go through that. So that's practically the message of this is keep your emotions in check, and but yeah, I really wanted to get that off my chest because that's something that has hmm yeah, that definitely happened to a friend of mine. I won't say who, but um did some drama happen in a stream I wasn't here for? Well, it happened behind the scenes, like in DMs and on tweets. So of course you didn't follow any of that, so there's no way you would have known it. So it's not your fault. You shouldn't really blame yourself for that. And it didn't happen here. It just happened on Twitter, as does most of things like that. But then there's also another thing that has been bothering me, and this was even long before today, and that is when you accuse without getting the facts straight, or or as the old saying goes, guilty until proven innocent. No, it should always be the other way around, and that's another thing that bothers me too. Is whatever happened to innocent until proven guilty? That's one thing that drives me nuts. Is that it's like, okay, so if you're upset about this person for this, then well, all right, well, is there any proof that that happened? And if there is, okay, then use it. But yeah, that's another thing that drives me nuts. Is like, why? Now, of course, if it's been proven, that's another thing. Um, but yeah, there's a lot of other things I could talk about, but some of those things have already been talked about, and I don't want to beat a dead horse, really. So that's kind of like one of those things I just wanted to get off my chest. Is just to not let your emotions get the better of you. So, no, you don't have to, Phantom Hive. It's just something I wanted to get off my chest, just because that's what's bothered me for a while. But now that I did, um, I'm opening the floor up to Q&A. So if you want to ask me a question, I will answer it as best as I can, and maybe even try to cheer you up as much as I can. So there's that. But yeah. But I mean, what is the meaning of life? To live it, to live life at the fullest. To not let anyone steal your happiness and your joy just because you're happy and they're not. Now, if you want people to be happy, obviously you give them what you want. You give them what they want. But for you to be happy, you just have to get what you want. But also know not to step over someone who is just simply trying to get by. Uh, if that even makes any sense. But life is to live it. To live in all happiness and blessing. I will say that. And also, hey, Lashana-chan, what's up? Nala-chan Network. But meaning of life is to live it. Because if you're not living it, you don't have a life. It's about as simple as I can make it. But yeah. But yeah, Phantom Hive, if you're still here, I'm very sorry if you felt uncomfortable, and trust me, I probably would be uncomfortable too. But you're among friends here. All right. Let's see. Any other questions? And before and yeah, yeah. If anyone else has any questions, keep going, or you can just keep going, or if not, I'll I'll mention one other thing, I guess. Um, oh, King Kirby, nice to see you. Also, we're doing a little bit of a Q&A session at this point, but I guess one other thing I could mention is we just go through a lot of shit in life, and what do have next to stream? That was kind of worded weirdly, and I think that was kind of a run-on sentence, but I am streaming Major League Baseball, or MLB, the show, tomorrow. And I definitely get a kick out of that game. I really do. It's a very fun game. Um, I have as much fun, playing it as I do watching it. So there's that. But of course, I know different strokes for different folks. But that's what we're streaming tomorrow. Um, but as I mentioned before, life can suck sometimes, and what you do and what you get out of it just depends on how you go about it. One thing you don't want to do is just go about it in such a way that you make it miserable for yourself and for others. So that's pretty much what I will say. You love baseball. Well, I love baseball too. One thing I don't love are the negotiations as far as the players union and the owners. I mean, I can totally understand where. Let's see. I think cool to see you have a semi cousin of faith because you're Jewish. I'm a traditional Christian. Team Jeebus. Well, oh. See, that's another misconception is that I am, despite the fact that my name is TehJew22. The Jew name is just a nickname of my real name. That doesn't mean I'm Jewish because I'm not Jewish. Not to say that I wouldn't want to claim that because I would love to, live in Jerusalem or in Israel, but but no, that's not what it means. I'm just a traditional Christian, just like anyone else. Um, well, not just like anyone else. Not everybody's a Christian. What am I talking about? But just need to think of. Not a problem. What is my favorite baseball team? That's a tough one because there's a couple of good ones, but if I had to pick, I would go with the Giants. They've always had they've always had some great teams, and they've always had some great rivalries with. They had a rivalry with the Yankees back when the Giants were in New York, especially in the Polo Grounds. I don't know if you guys remember the Polo Grounds back in the back in the first half of the 20th century. They used to play in the Polo Grounds. Although I do like Toronto, especially with their back-to-back championship teams in the early '90s. Okay, to be fair, DJ, I didn't attempt or try to make others miserable. There we go. I didn't attempt or try to make others miserable. That to me, where the misconception of personality starts to bug me in a way. Well, oh, I never thought you'd be Christian. I'm not religious by any means myself, but still, I'll get back to you on that one. But to Brandon, well, okay, so if okay, so you didn't attempt to do that, but unfortunately, that's what happens when you let your emotions get the better of you. And and like I said, I've made that mistake myself. So I wouldn't feel too bad about it myself, but still that's what happened and that's just the way that it went. The least I could do was be understanding enough not to suspend you or terminate you, I guess. And when I say terminate, I mean like uh, remove you from my channel. See, but I want to at least know that. But I want you to at least know that I may be firm, but I am fair. In that sense. So, well, in every sense of the word. But yes, I am Christian, and I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not the most devout Christian. If I was, I would probably be spending most of my time um, in the church building, or just writing a lot of things. Though now you just have to put that in practice, Brandon. And I'll talk to Samurai. Samurai is also the kind of guy that is fair but firm as well. Cause Cause sure, me and him don't always agree on everything, but at least but at least we're both understanding of each other to the point where we know what we want to get out of our shows, and we also know that to each his own show. We run the show to what best fits us as people, and as a promoter of what is it of eFeds, which is where you take a wrestling video game and then you get a bunch of and then you take some wrestlers that were created at Create a Wrestler, and then when you make them, whether you make them yourself or whether you get them off of a community creations and then you make a show out of it, is what I'm talking about. As promoters, we're the artist. We're the artists, and the ring is our canvas. And just like any traditional artist, when it comes to painting, you have your paints, you have your canvas, which is which is more often than not a stretch canvas, and you have your paints, you have your brushes, and if you're Bob Ross, you would have your palette knives or whatever other equipment that you use to paint. But just like any other art, and it doesn't have to be wrestling games. You can also be a video maker. You can also be, for as long as I was for a long time, a Let's Player. And a Let's Player is someone who plays a game, like records it, also records commentary over it, and does, and not only entertains but also informs. That in itself is an art, because it's not just the game that you play, it's how you play it, and also how you carry yourself when it comes down to presentation on YouTube. So there's that. Anyway, I'm hoping to start up my wrestling stream back again after a few more weeks of real life wrestling training. Well, you asked me a question, I may as well ask you, Wildcat, and I hope that you do well in your training, but is this in? I hope that everyone gets tested, so that when you train, it doesn't spread, if you know what I mean. Anyway, I honestly wish I had my once creative mind from years ago. Sadly, majority is gone, and I chose a future career choice I never thought I'd consider. Yeah, that's the thing when it comes to creative minds is it's either you flex your creative juices, or you just let them evaporate, and sometimes, um sadly, you could lose it for good, but who knows. Sometimes when it comes to creative juices, all it takes is one idea. Sometimes all it takes is one idea, and just like that, you're back in it. Anyway, but so far we haven't had a new case in 5 days. Well, I'm happy that that's the case. No pun intended, because when it comes down to it, uh, I don't want to say where I'm from, but I just wish people were just working towards the police academy. Yeah, that's of course that'll do it to you. You go into a business where you're not allowed to be creative other than just to enforce the law. And there's nothing creative about that. You're just enforcing something. And there's nothing wrong with that because I mean, you get paid. Most policemen get paid pretty well. I'd like to believe. Um, but I also know that, you know, with everything that's been going on, it just turns into a shit show. I think the important thing for you as a peace officer, as a um, officer that is intended to hold the peace, is to not let your emotions get the better of you either, because, well, last thing you want to do is do something rash and then it just goes to shit. And I know I just said the S word, especially, you know, but I mean, it is what it is. But I'm happy. But on the part of Wildcat, and I'm happy that you guys have done everything to to stay safe and also prevent new cases from happening. I wish though that where I live, people were much more smarter than that. It just seems that people just rather would learn this the hard way than, try to learn it the easy way, which is the right way. You know, follow the guidelines, follow, the advices of the experts, because I'm not an expert in any of this. It's not like I know any better. If I did, I would probably be sharing it right now. But to your credit, I congratulate you guys, because I wish we had that mindset. Anyway, yes, I realize wanting to be one is now not the best choice, but I hope to be better than the yes. Only 2 deaths. Well, even though 2 is still too many, I still think that it's good that you have had very little cases, and I'm happy that you haven't had too many. And I just hope that I just hope um, that there will be a cure, a vaccine, anything that can do this, because that's really the well. I don't want to say that's the only way, because there's other ways that it could end. It could end the natural way, and that is it goes through the population at large, and whatever it doesn't kill only makes people stronger. Kind of like with what happened to the flu of 1919. But after that, I'm just gonna stop talking about it. I don't want to get demonetized or get kicked off the air there. And I understand the cabin fever is real. There's no doubt about that. That's why when I do get to go out and I'm able to sit down and dine in. I just enjoy it. I just, and I think that also goes into another lesson, and that is enjoy what you have when you can do it. In fact, enjoy what I mean. Whenever you get a chance to do something you haven't done in a long time, enjoy it, because sometimes when you least suspect it, you may never get another chance at it. So, so there's that, and so really the point of the show of Tales of TehJew is not so much to inform you with what I'm doing, but also that you learn things from it. No, I have not been able to see highlights of Fighter Fest. I just have. It's usually at around the time that I'm spending some time with family, and also Logan with those eyes. But I had to imagine that Fighter Fest was great, and so yeah, I want to see that. I want to see what happened with Fighter Fest, and it just sucks though that, well, I guess really the only thing I can do is just what is it? Look it up on YouTube and just watch the highlights. So, but I had to imagine it was a great show. I forgot what else I was gonna say. Oh yeah, that's right. I think before we kind of got off track a little bit. Um, we were talking about, or rather, Anne was mentioning baseball. Um, I think I was talking about the this Toronto Blue Jays with the teams that they had in '92 and '93. I remember. I remember the ending of Game 6 to the 1993 World Series. I mean, that one just stuck in the mind because, you know, the only other time that a World Series ended um, on a walk off home run was um, Bill Mazeroski's home run in Game 7 of the 1960 World Series against between the Pirates and the Yankees. I remember that one from watching some film or watching films on MLB Network back in the day. I used to watch baseball seasons on MLB Network. It was just fun, a lot of fun. As for I'm not sure what happened on Fighter Fest. Maybe it's probably better. It's probably better that I watch the highlights and whatnot. But yeah, AEW for the most part has been doing a great job. Um, of course, it just doesn't have the same vibe as it probably would have if things were normal. But given what they've had to work with, I say they've been doing great with what they've been doing. And I can also, as much as you know, I might as well also give it to WWE too, because, you know, got to give the devil their due. I mean, they've done all that they could in this environment. And really, that's all I could ever ask of any of you guys, or anyone for that matter, is just to simply do what you have to do. But well, not a problem, Wildcat. Have a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow or whatnot. Yeah, but I guess I can wrap this up. I guess. Time is it? Okay, it's almost time. So, um, I'm just trying to think of something here. Oh yeah, that's right. So, so yeah, if you have a friend who is, if you have a friend that's down in the dumps, you do what you can to help him or her. And of course, this varies from person to person. It really depends because you could all you'd have to do is just simply say, hey, like I have a friend who was, oh, hey, Rockhawk64, how's it going? But but as I was about to say, for some people, all they need is just oh yeah, I was about to end it off, but since you're here, I may as well extend it a little bit. Uh, but what I was gonna try to say, what was I gonna say? Shit, it's going awesome. Oh damn, I forgot what I was gonna say. Oh yeah, for some people they just need encouragement, but for others it takes more than that. And sometimes I have to. You just wanted to come by and say hi. Well, I appreciate that. Um, if you have a question for me, you can ask me that. I'll give you that. But yeah, but for other people, they need more than just encouragement because for some others it's like it's tough love, and I don't like to do that, but sometimes I have to, given the situation and the personality and whatnot. So it really just depends on what your friend needs. So that was what I was trying to get at. So, and I do my best to try to be there for people. I mean, that isn't to say that I'm going to be um, a babysitter or anything, but I at least try my best to be there for others. And I hope that you would do the same, not just for me, but for your own friends too. So, there you go. So, oh, well, there you see my bed. Uh, Not much going on, but I am about to head off though. But I hope you guys had a good time. Oh, I was talking to a friend doing his some sort of counterpart on his bed on. Oh, well, I mean, I hope that goes well, Brandon's son. But yeah, I hope you guys had a good time, and I also hope that you guys um, learned a lot of things, not just from me, but from this stream. But until then, thank you for stopping by. Thank you for talking with me, and I hope to see you on the next stream, whenever that is. Which is, for some of you, it's later today. For me, it's still technically tomorrow, as I live on the West Coast. So until then, have a great day, everyone.